What's your name and what brings you to JCON?
Hi, Frank. Well, nice to meet you, first of all. My name is Balkrishna Rawool. I work for ING, and I'm really passionate about Java. I've been using Java for 20 years now. What brings me to JCON? Well, I am a speaker here. I'm talking about structured concurrency in Java. That brings me here, but mainly it's the community, everything around Java. So yeah, I really like being part of these conferences, and that brings me here.
Okay, so you have a talk about concurrency.
Uh-huh.
I think that's one of the hard questions at every job interview.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be a high-level Java programmer,
Right.
what should I know?
Yeah, actually, you triggered me. So before I answer your question, when you say that concurrency is like a hard question on job interviews, that is totally true. What I also notice is that in Java you have these puzzlers, right? You have programs which seem really simple,
Mhm.
but then you have these outputs which are really strange, and they baffle you. That's why they are called puzzlers. When you use concurrency, you don't really have to do much to get puzzlers because everything that you write in
Everything.
concurrency is already a puzzler. So yeah, so and those could be pretty tricky questions on interviews as well. What was your question?
So
I
what
already
what should I
forgot.
know about concurrency? What are the hot topics
Oh,
nowadays? Virtual threads, is that concurrency?
yes, yeah. Well, actually, if you talk about concurrency, it's such a big or vast thing. You have to know about a lot of stuff. Threads, of course, virtual threads nowadays, but also executors, futures, completable futures. Um, yeah, there is quite a lot of stuff. If you want to talk, a bit more low level about logs and some of our monitors, but there are really good books, and one is always referred, the one from Brian Gates. I think that's really an awesome book to read. So there's a lot of stuff to be understood about concurrency. And my topic here was about structured concurrency, which is based on virtual threads. So
Okay.
that's also a hot topic, which really good to know about.
And structured concurrency is that you can combine virtual threads or wait until one has finished or all has finished.
Yeah. So structured concurrency as a concept does not have really anything to do with virtual threads. So in general, it is about how you can have control of your concurrency. Um, So if you have multiple tasks and you want them to be arranged in a structure, so you want to do them sequentially, you want to do them parallelly, and how do you do that in your programs? How do you bring that structure and order? That is what structured concurrency is. With Java now supporting virtual threads, we don't have that limitation of trying to manage your threads. You don't want to create too many threads, so that is not there, and therefore it gives you that liberty, that freedom to create threads in a way that you can model your requirements or these requirements about sequential or parallel execution in a much better way. And that's why structured concurrency is now an API built on top of virtual threads, and that's how it connects in Java, those two things. But in general, it is about basically a freedom to organize your concurrency needs in a more structured way.
And is this structured thing something new in Java? Is it only because it was introduced recently in Java?
Yeah, so structured concurrency API is very recently introduced. In fact, it is still a preview as of Java 22. But as a concept, it is like pretty old. In Java, it is new, as I said, right? With the introduction of virtual threads, now you have the freedom that you can create uh, a new virtual thread for every task, and then you can organize these tasks in a more structured and ordered way. And that's why it has recently been introduced as a preview API.
Mhm. It's a preview.
It is in preview, yeah.
Will it be in 23? Or don't we know yet?
I don't think we know that
Yeah.
yet, and I'm not sure even if the JDK team, the OpenJDK team working on it, knows that, because I think their idea right now is it is done when it is done. So once it is done, that they are happy and satisfied with the version of structured concurrency API they have, they'll make it final. But as of now, it is still in preview.
So you're actually presenting something which is a preview feature.
Yes.
Isn't that a nice thing about Java nowadays, that we have this ongoing work and it's ready when it's ready, like you said,
yeah.
because they are waiting for feedback from the community. This is how we think you will use it. Now tell us how you're actually using it. are there still errors in there? Does it need to change further?
Yeah, so I think first of all, it's really amazing that we have this ability in Java with preview features that we can experiment with things. And we can give feedback to the OpenJDK team, and they listen to that feedback, and then they adapt those things. So yeah, that's really an awesome thing. Talking about structured concurrency API, which is in preview, so it has gone through multiple revisions, and I remember there was one thing which recently changed. So actually, they listened to the feedback from the community, and then they changed a few things. So uh, we have an API called structured task scope, and that has a method called fork. Uh, in the past, I think in one of the early versions of structured concurrency, it used to return a future, right? And then you could use that future, you can block on it and do get, so it gives you the actual result. Now it actually returns a new entity called as subtask, and then you can basically play around with that subtask. And so they have changed that API, and I think it is, again, because it is in preview, you have that freedom to change that API and to make it better. And that's why I really like these preview features, because it's another thing, right? You as a Java enthusiast, something I'm really passionate about. I really see these new JEPs coming, new preview features coming, and I can't wait to try them. I try these early access versions, so I have a 23 early access version with preview features enabled, and I'm just playing with them. It's so awesome. And also another example with string templates, right? I think that's also a good example that the preview features are working now, because the teams are listening, OpenJDK teams are listening to the community, and you can even go back and then rethink about these APIs, right? So it's an thing, awesome feature to have, an awesome way to introduce new features for a language.
And indeed, 23 is not there yet,
Mhm.
but you can get early access versions.
Yes.
So if you want to experiment with it, you should not run it in production probably, but
No. Yeah. Well, I think so. What I read somewhere, or I think I heard one of the leaders of OpenJDK team saying that preview features are already production ready. You could use them in production, but I work for a bank, and I'm not sure if I would really want to use the preview features in production, mainly because the API can change, right? And then do you want to, like, if the API changes, do you want to just put yourself under time pressure to basically change all your apps and be ready for the next version of Java? So that's why I wouldn't prefer preview features to be used in production. But I think, yeah, it's, you definitely can experiment with it. You can hack around with the API, and it's so awesome to see, because you get like the latest cutting edge features already with early access and preview features.
but indeed, that's what people should be aware of. The API can still change.
Yes.
So it's only when it's finally provided in the JDK in the next build, then it's stable.
Yes.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Have fun with the talk. Good luck.
Thank you. Frank.
Have fun here at the conference and talking to the community people.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks. Really nice to be here, and really nice to know you. And well, yeah. See you around.